Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. This is Yelo Autosports. My name's Tu. Today I've got a Tesla Model 3. We're gonna take this car through a full-on paint correction as well as a ceramic coating. This one's gonna get Crystal Ceramic Ultra 9-year topped with EXO. We're also gonna be coating the glass as well as the wheel faces on this vehicle. And I always do a little custom interior detail just for the client since it's such a high-end service. I'm just going to take you through the process that I go through, film the process, and I'll just discuss it through the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you get an idea of how I do my process. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoy what you'll be watching, please subscribe to the channel and enjoy the video.
Okay, so the very first thing that's really important to do is I need to be able to track this vehicle once I get it into my shop and for all the services that will come after. So registering the vehicle is key. This will give me a nice history, and then I know the vehicle and I know its history. So usually I like to do things all one way. I do recommend that you get into a system when you do cars for yourself. It's just gonna make your process a little bit quicker. For me, I always like to start with the wheels first. So vehicle being outside first, we're gonna take care of the exterior and do the preliminary wash, which is just gonna allow me to have the vehicle cleaned up. Once it comes into the garage, it does not have to come out again until the client comes and picks up their vehicle. Working on the wheels, it's pretty simple. This was a brand new vehicle, so luckily for me, it made it a little bit easier. Now some vehicles are going to be a little bit dirtier if they're a little bit older and have seen more road time, which is going to take a little bit longer. In this case here, I'm using the Meguiar's product for cleaning the wheels. It's an iron deposit remover and a wheel cleaner at the same time. When using a brush, make sure you use a nice bristle brush for the rims themselves. I do like to use a brush to get in between each of the spokes and making sure that I clean the full interior. Now these wheels are going to get coated. The wheel face only is going to get coated in this case. So I want to make sure that I have a nice clean wheel before I get there. So go ahead and just rinse it off. Repeat the process on all four. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm using a mineral deposit remover. So what this is for removing any metal contaminants that might be on the paint itself. Now, important thing to note here, when I actually go and wash the wheel, I'll use that same time to pressure wash the paint a little bit. It just allows me to knock some of the things off the paint. The first thing I'm gonna do before I actually wash the car itself, after I've rinsed it one time, is I will use this MDR, mineral deposit remover. I'll let it sit on the car. Now you want to use a nice clean sponge, and all I'm doing here is agitating it. So I'm really using no pressure. I do not want to cause any more scratches on the paint that I don't have to. All I'm really doing is I'm just agitating the product around. Keep in mind you want to let the product saturate for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Just make sure it works its way into any of the metal that might be just embedded in the paint. And then I just come in and I just give it a nice rinse. Okay, now moving on to the foam cannon itself. Just saturate the whole car with the soap. This is going to do a few things. One is going to give some lubrication to the car when I rub the sponge. And two, it's also going to help lift some of the things that might still be on the paint that didn't knock through the first initial spray down with the power washer. Now, my technique is pretty simple. You always start from the top down, and what you have is a 2-bucket system to the side of the vehicle. What this does for you is it allows you to kind of shake off anything that you might have grabbed onto the sponge. You want to shake it down into the bucket. Visually inspect your sponge every single time. You do not want to bring anything to the paint that is going to cause you to have to fix it. Alright, so I'm showing you here is the actual clay bar. So this clay was pretty new and it's supposed to be white. So as you can see, I picked up quite a lot of things on this paint. Another thing that came to me, once you wash the vehicle, you're always going to see things that you didn't see prior. So in this case here, we had a lot of tree sap that was just stuck on the paint. So my solution for this was using an isopropyl alcohol that I got diluted. I diluted that with water, and then you have to address every single little spot of sap by hand. So it is tedious, but that is what you're gonna need to do to keep the surface clean, because you cannot do your paint correction until you first get the sap off, just like all the other things that actually got picked up from the clay bars. So we're just gonna go hands-on here and get all that cleaned up, and then we can finally go to the paint correction, start getting this car looking good. So another important thing to note is that the sap, obviously, if it was on the paint, it's also going to be on the glass. So on the glass, there's multiple ways where you can get rid of the sap. You can still use the isopropyl mix. However, because I do come from a background where I window tint as well, I'm pretty familiar with glass. I was using here a razor blade. It's a stainless steel blade. You want to be very careful when you do this step. If you have no experience, you do not want to scratch glass. The stainless steel blade is actually going to help. It's a better blade that is not going to provide any scratches, but not every glass is created the same. Some are softer than others, so there's definitely a technique to this. Getting on to the paint correction, we are almost there, but first we're going to want to tape off any plastic trim that we do not want to hit with the buffer. So we can go ahead and tape off everything. This tape was a little bit old, so it's giving me some problem. As you can see, it's breaking up all goofy for me, but this is 3M automotive tape. It's a great tape if you're going to use any tape to cover the trims. This is definitely something that I recommend. It peels out fairly easy, it leaves no residue behind, so it makes for a very clean job. So first things first, you're going to want to find out what works on this paint. Not every paint is created the same, they're not the same thickness, they do not correct the same way. So this is where experience comes in. You have to kind of figure out and pick out a product, a pad combination that you think is going to work. Now for me, I'm pretty familiar. In this instance, we tried at least 3 different combinations. In this case here, we used a microfiber pad. So what I'm doing here is I'm measuring the temperature of the paint. Paint swells when it heats up, so I want to just make sure I'm not getting too hot where I might have any damage. Another thing that I do too is I always want to measure my paint. So what I'm using here is a paint meter, and I'm actually going through the whole vehicle, and I'm doing an average of 5. So 5 measurements per panel is what we're going after. We take notes of everything, and from there we'll know a pretty good idea of how thick the paint is all the way around the car. What this lets me know is how much can I correct, how much can I buff this paint without jeopardizing too much. The goal is to make it better, but not ruin it for the client. Alright, going back to this test panel. So this is the area that we saw earlier where I was buffing. What I always do is I want to make sure that I find the right step, the right tools, the right combination of compound and polish. So in this case, I used Meguiar's. Now, it is very good to stay with one product, so you get very proficient with your one product. However, sometimes you do need at least 2 or 3 on the arsenal just to have different things to try out. So I'm pretty satisfied with the results here so far, and now we're going to take it through the whole vehicle. So So this is the tedious part. Now for me, I like to switch pads at least every 2 panels. This ensures that I have a nice clean working pad that's going to be the most efficient to do the cutting to re-level this paint. So this is tedious. This is the part that takes time. Just put on a good set of headphones in, find your favorite audiobook, and just get going on this. It might take a long time, a day or two. Just be mindful, be careful. Make sure that you do not lose your head in this process. Just get going, get after it. And if you get tired, make sure to take a break. Alright, I spared you watching me having to paint correct the whole vehicle, so we are all done. I can take the tape off. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm now going to go into ceramic coating the glass, but before I can do that I need to make sure that the glass is nice and clean. So in this case I'm using white scrubby pad. These are just aggressive enough to clean the glass, but not so that they're going to scratch. Now I'm also using a water soap lubrication. I do want that sponge to be able to glide across the glass nice and efficiently. Once that's all done and all dry, I can go ahead and use G1 in this case, which is a product from G Technique. Very good glass coating. And here we go, applying it on the windshield and all around the car. Moving on, I'm finally almost ready to install the coating. The first thing I need to do is you need to wipe off all the product that might be left from your compound. So everything that you use to buff and polish the paint, there's probably still going to be a little bit of some on there. So here's an isopropyl solution. This will strip anything off the surface of the paint, and then I can start coating, protecting this car. Okay, we're finally installing the coating. That feels like forever, and you're just watching it, but in real time it does take a long time. So now we're applying the ceramic coating. This is the part that everybody loves. This is what's going to make the car feel hydrophobic. It's going to make the water want to bead right off the surface. It's also going to add a layer of protection. What this does is it's essentially a nanoparticle, and it's going to bond directly physically to the paint. So once it's applied and it's put on, it does not go anywhere. So with this product here, it's called G Technique Crystal Serum Ultra. It's a 9-year coating, rated 10H on a pencil scale. So it does harden your paint, but do not be fooled. It is not something that is gonna protect your paint 100%. There is no such thing that is diamond hard that it'll never damage your paint. So this is why it's so crucial, so important that you understand this, because even though I do all this for you, you also need to understand there's some maintenance involved. So you gotta make sure you tell your client, hey, make sure you pay attention to your car, make sure you come see me every 6 months, because I want to make sure that I'm gonna do all this work, and the money that you're gonna pay me, I want to make sure that it's worth your time. Okay, so we'll go through the rest of the car. We're gonna do CSU as well as EXO. We still also have to do the wheels. So when you're coating, just make sure that you're mindful, pay attention to it, look at it, don't let it flash before it's ready to go, and make sure you wipe off and level correctly. That's it, guys.
All right, everybody, that's the whole process. You get to watch me do the whole thing, from washing it to clay to buffing, polishing, and coating the whole thing, both with CSU and EXO, and we get the wheels done, the glass as well. So if you learned something, please like, subscribe to the video and the channel. Leave any comments you got below. Anything else you want to see, if you get questions about, if there's a video you want to see, make sure you leave in the comments below as well, so I know what kind of topics you guys are interested in. So If you're out there detailing, keep grinding, and we'll see you in the next video.